Welcome into the Pop Culture Pile Driver. That boy right there, that is Billy D2411. I'm at Jason D Rossi. This is exciting times because we're here to celebrate moms. And the best way to celebrate moms is give credit to the dads.
Hell yeah. Celebrating Mother's Day by doing a list of the top dads of all time. Podcasters dozen. 11.
Come on, baby. What's better than that? So we are going to count down the top 11 TV dads of all time. This is not a BS list. This is the list. This is the primo list.
To God, this is the best list we've ever done. This list is good. I mean, I don't know one of the names on the top 11, but it's because I never saw the show. But I really think we crushed this list. Spoiler alert, our top 2 were the exact same, and our top 6 were pretty identical.
Yeah, which is really shocking. Yeah,
we did this in complete anonymity. I kind of, with the boy bands list, I kind of messed up a little bit and looked at some lists, looked at your lists, and let it influence my stuff. This was ridiculous how in lockstep we were with certain things and then completely different with others.
Yeah, it is interesting. We didn't know. We put our list together over the last 48 hours and posted to each other less than a half an hour ago. So this list is authentic. This list is going to be interesting. And again, nothing beats celebrating Mother's Day.
Celebrating the dads, man.
Come on. Dads. It's all about the dads. But in all honesty, just so you know, just in case you're like, what kind of crazy crap is this? When it comes to Father's Day, we'll do the top 11 TV moms, all right?
So, no. We're going to do the top 11 worst TV dads. Moms will be next year.
Actually, that's not a bad idea.
We'll just skip moms altogether.
2020's been so effed up. Why not just keep rolling along with it?
Women can't live with them. They can't pee standing up.
Actually,
I've seen it. I saw it in Step Brothers.
I've seen it in some other places.
Boy.
Jesus. Yeah, it was not a pleasant sight, but nonetheless, no, this was in public. Even worse, there was a homeless lady.
Well, that's different.
Hopefully, she was homeless. I don't mean that rude either.
I've peed on the street before.
Of course, I peed off my deck earlier.
I worked out on my deck earlier. It's a great feeling.
Very different experiences, but both equally satisfying. So I think to start off our list, so just so you know, we count down the top 11, but the way we put it together is Billy makes a list of 20, I make a list of 20, and then we put those together in a point scoring system. It's very, very complicated. I don't want to bog it down with numbers, but let's go with, there's just a chunk here that were all the ones that were on one of our lists, but did not make the final cut. I can speak to the ones I had on there. Billy, you can speak to the ones you did. For me, Arthur Spooner from King of Queens.
He same exact character from Seinfeld, but
and that's a compliment.
It works. He was the best character on the show by far.
Well, that was the thing. I think he was actually better as a full-on character, because he was a bigger role on King of Queens than he was with Seinfeld. Obviously, his role in Seinfeld, spoiler, might get to him a little later, but Frank Costanza's classic. But Arthur Spooner, it was just so good. The one episode that will always stand out to me in a moment that is typical dad, and we're talking about an older dad, was when they lost their heat downstairs because Arthur lived in the basement. So he just always would complain and grab all these blankets and pillows and go downstairs with this sad sack look because he was always nudging them, always bothering them. And then eventually they get to the point where they're like, all right, Dad, you can sleep upstairs. And he thinks sleeps upstairs in their bed. So there's the 3 of them in the bed. Just classic stuff. Great dad character. Not necessarily the most inspirational character, but one of my favorite. This was
my parents' show. This was one of those shows that might have been on 5:30, 6 o'clock. You'd pop it on every once in a while. My parents would watch it religiously. I don't even think they'd watched it when it was on, but every time he came on the screen, my face lit up just because of Seinfeld. And he delivered that same Frank Costanza vibe on the show.
Yeah, I'm just a huge fan. I thought King of Queens, I still like it. It's a show I could watch today. I dig it. I think he was a great dad. So he's an honorable mention. The next up is Cameron Tucker. You can take this one, Bill.
Oh, I love Cam. He is great from the very first episode. He becomes a dad when they adopt Lily and they show off the little baby in the and he acts like a mother cub all the time. He is a great television dad. I would have probably ranked him a little bit higher if the show didn't go into a total nosedive after season 4-ish.
Let me ask you this. Did you watch the finale?
Oh, God, no.
I still haven't seen it. I should. I will. I will go back and watch it. But the first 4 seasons of Modern Family is just fantastic.
I've heard oh my God. The first 3 are absolutely beautiful. I still go back and watch those from time to time. I have them on my computer, so it's easy to just pop them on while I'm doing some graphics. Mm-hmm. And spoiler alert, there may be another guy on on that list. There's plenty of dads in that show. It's obvious it's a show.
It's all dads.
Yeah, I mean they're all dads. So, what do you got?
And then next up for our honorable mentions is Frank Lambert. And honestly, when I first saw this name, I go, "Who's Frank Lambert?"
Step by step, day by day, fresh start over. He is great. He's got that. What's his actual name?
Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Duffy.
right.
Patrick Duffy.
Patrick Duffy, because they always reference it in the early seasons of South Park. But he's a pretty good dad. He's got the Brady Bunch vibe going on. Mainly, I just gave it to him because of the hair. That curly salt and pepper. Just a handsome dude.
That's a good point. And
always wore this was like the 90s dad outfit. The flannel shirt tucked into the blue jeans with that brown
belt. The brown belt.
Every single TV dad had it. Everyone.
Seriously. And Chuck Norris. But which I don't know if he was a dad on that show. But anyways, the one thing so I told my wife, I was like, hey, what were we doing? She's like, let me guess what's on your list. I said, okay. The first one she comes up with is this dude. I'm like, and he didn't make my list. And it wasn't, but I'm like, this is the guy. She's like, oh yeah.
He was like my 1 or 2 though.
Yeah, well, you mean like low ranking, not your high.
Yeah. Like he was my number 19 or something.
Yeah. So again, we're just counting down the top 11. We're doing all honorable mentions right here. So next up was Ricky Ricardo. For me,
he's great.
It's funny you say this. I didn't even think of him as a dad.
They didn't have a kid till a little bit later on,
Sure.
Little Ricky. But when he was a dad, he's just a crazy guy. I love that show. I always have fond memories of that show, watching that show with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. By the way, while we're counting down, we still are celebrating all the moms. So if you are a mom, we appreciate you listening, watching. It has been, thank you for being a mom. We wouldn't be here.
Travel down the road and back again.
Yeah, we wouldn't be here.
You're confident.
Next up would be Tony Soprano, a show that I'm currently binging like a mofo.
I've never seen this, and I'm going to have to start.
I'm going to give you an episode to watch. I think it's excellent. It is season 3, episode 1. You literally don't have to watch another episode of the show prior or after. You obviously have an understanding of what The Sopranos is about, but if you watch that episode, it's called Mr. Rigorio's Neighborhood. It is excellent. One of the best episodes I've ever seen. It's the best season premiere of all time, but check that one out. But Tony Soprano, horrible dad, not a good dad. But
yeah, it wasn't like we did I think Mac and Goo recently did the moms, like the best and worst, and they like took it into like an actual avenue. I just did like TV dad who stood out as like good, bad, indifferent, who made the best impact as a dad.
I still tried to look at it like this guy's a good dad. And here's why. But anyways, Tony Soprano, pretty bad dad. But at the end of the day, he's doing a lot of shady stuff to keep his family afloat. So I don't have to say much more about that. Next up for honorable mentions before we crack the list, Vince McMahon.
I don't get this one. I didn't get this one at all.
He's on TV.
It's reality TV though.
It's not reality. It's either a sport. It's like drama. It's everything. Reality. It's still on television.
It's sports entertainment. Like I thought this was kind of a cop out. Yeah, it really was. I didn't like this. And you know who we didn't have on this list? Who might be one of the all-time greatest TV characters of all time, but is probably the worst father. And but his character didn't impact me as a dad ever, even though everything he did was for his family. Walter White.
I put him on. I had him on my list, but he was like right there with Arthur Spooner, and I said horrible dad. Sorry, just was a bad dad.
Not even a bad dad. I just don't think of him, even though his driving goal was his family. I never thought of this guy as like a fucking dad. I thought of him just as I don't know. He was just so
his character outshined. Yeah. And then so I had Vince McMahon on there. Then this was one I thought probably was going to make the list. Tim Taylor, Home Improvement.
Was that good?
Yeah, it was pretty.
Talk about the flannel with the belt and the blue jeans.
Tim
raising
Allen.
3 boys, 2 of them probably 2 of the worst TV sons of all time, the old one and the young one. JTT was a pretty good character, but there were some classic Tool Time episodes. This was one of those shows my parents recorded, and we would rewatch all the time. All of the Man's, bedroom Man's, whatever. He was a pretty good TV dad. He was the stereotypical idiot, but a good TV dad.
Good TV dad. Didn't make the list. A few more honorable mentions and we'll crack it. Dr. Cox, another one. Don't really think of him as a dad. I know he was a dad. And
the reason this was a solo one on mine. The reason I gave him this was because he is an actual dad by like season 2 or 3 to Jack. Yeah. has the baby with what's her name, doesn't think it's his, but he's also a father figure to the whole hospital. He is a dad, and I think one of the top like male TV personalities of like my lifetime. I love this guy. Just an amazing character.
Yep.
If we did we should do shout out Ted, R.I.P.
Oh,
Love him. We should do a Scrubs podcast very soon.
Okay, we'll book it in. We'll book it in. Very busy scheduling. Then after that was Michael Bluth, and one I didn't put on my list, and probably an oversight over my part. I watch Arrested Development, but just didn't make my list.
I love Michael Bluth. Again, not defined by his dadness. He's kind of like the comedy version of Walter White, just a selfish kind of jerk, and it kind of shows more and more as the show goes on. Again, I divorced this show pretty much after season 3 minus 2 or 3 jokes. But other than that, I'm here, I'm queer, now I'm over here, and then and he hadn't even seen and she hadn't even seen License Plate. Other than that, after that, the show's a disaster. But some good father figures on that show.
Oh, absolutely! I was going to say his father. Anyway, we can save it. But here's one that's going to shock you. Did not make the list on both of our lists, but just came in lower. Peter Griffin. I think Peter Griffin. The name of the show is called Family Guy.
So again. Not defined by his dadness to me, and is outshined by other cartoon dads in history.
Oh, by far. Fred Flintstone I put ahead of him, who didn't make the list, spoiler ahead. But
George Jetson.
George Jetson.
And the whole show is kind of unremarkable.
I was going to say, aside from the whole futuristic thing, there's a show I couldn't tell you any plot points except for the cool-ass maid. That robot maid, first of all, way ahead of her time and thick. All right, so then, Peter Griffin didn't make the list. Next up, this is one I was debating with too, and I never really know how to say his last name. Is it Mincelli? Tony Mincelli?
Tony Mincelli.
Who's the boss?
Oh, man, he was great. This was another show I would watch with my mom all the time.
Great syndicated show.
What is it? Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. No, that's
Golden Girl.
They have a very similar theme.
Song. No, hold on, I got it. If you stop because sometimes one of those things. There's a time for done, a time for.
And he's sliding into home like Pete Rose.
Brand new life around.
Vacuuming in the curtains.
Here's the reason why he didn't make my list. He's not a good dad. He wasn't even the boss of his own house.
Who was the boss?
Who's the older woman? She was the boss.
No. Mona? No. The daughter Rebecca.
Mona was the boss.
No, God, no. It's Angela. Yeah. Angela was literally Tony's boss. And it was proved in an episode of Community by Abed when he took a class called Who's the Boss? Indeed, a class on Who's the Boss. He proved in like the first class that it was Angela. So, but no. And it launched the career of Alyssa Milano.
Yes, thank you. Who's the boss? And that other kid who is probably on coke. All right, then next up, Tracy Jordan. That's a random one because another guy I didn't know he was a dad.
I just love him because he named his son Tracy Jr. and the other one is named George Foreman. And they always throw in like the kids after like season 2 with like, look what he packed me for lunch, a stapler and a carton of cigarettes, and he has a few good episodes with his kids. I just love this character, and him as a dad is a hilarious premise in the show. That's why he got so high on my list. It was kind of a bullshit ranking by me, but I was like, fuck it.
All right, well, hey, someone's saucy over there. And then right before the last honorable mention, this one was by me, one of my favorite teen drama shows from the OC, Sandy Cohen, who was one of the most ideal dads. Not only was he a father to his biological son, he took in a kid.
I always like that. He
took in a bad boy. He took him in, and he wasn't a kid he wasn't a relative. He was a public defender. This kid had nowhere to go. His family
situation. Was a public defender, and he needed a house.
No, Sandy Cohen was a public defender. And this kid was, a bad boy, but he saw the light in him. Brought him into his house in Orange County, beautiful area. This kid was from Chino, and then all of a sudden turns it all around. Sandy Cohen, one of the best dads. There was a little
never ever seen the show.
Can understand. If you weren't into it, you're not going to get into it. I don't even know where it is streaming anymore.
I feel like I missed the boat. I feel like it was for slightly, just 2 years older than me, and I'm old.
No, you're wrong. It was 2003. It debuted right when we graduated high school. It was perfect time. It just things happen. You miss some. As some of our
you win some, you lose some.
Yeah,
you live to fight another day. The father from Friday, by the way, is it George Witherspoon? Great,
yes,
film dad. If we ever want to tackle that.
Oh, that's what we'll do for Father's Day because we love the moms. All right, so now let's get into it, Billy. It is time to crack the top 11, undo the vault at number 11, coming to us from Monday night CBS. Everybody loves Raymond, Frank Barone.
This guy is not even the main dad on the show, but he's probably the funniest. Not probably. He is the funniest character on the show by himself. The others are funny situationally. They need other people. This guy, no matter what, is absolutely hilarious. There's so many great little things that he does throughout the entirety of this. Again, this was a parent show. They always had it on when I was home. Mm-hmm. And he's one of the great comedy actors of all time, Young Frankenstein. What's his real name?
Peter Boyle?
Yes. Just great. He has the thing like the what is it, the ass in seat time where you just leave no matter what. He's just one of my favorites. That's one of the greatest episodes.
All right, he just gets up.
Yeah.
I would argue both your points. I think he is the best dad and the main dad of the show because as well Raymond is a father. I think most of his storylines aren't always about being the dad. It's about like his sports writing and all of his like side plots where Frank Barone literally is just about how poor of a dad and how frustrated his kids were. And I just drew a blank. What's the brother's name? Why can't I think of Everybody Loves Raymond? Oh my God. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Either way, the cop brother.
Brad Garrett.
Yeah,
his real name.
I know, isn't that weird? But I think he's actually the best character on the show. And I think he does well solo as well. He has some great stuff in there. But nonetheless, we got to go back to it. Frank Barone, one of the all-time greatest dads in television history. I sometimes will like shout out episodes. I think he's one of those guys. Watch any episode. He's so classic.
A riot. Everything he does, he's just that. He's the Frank Costanza of more family-friendly, less. I don't know how to say the difference between the two. Like
I would say it's a family show.
It's a popcorn movie-esque type TV show where Seinfeld, they were, in my opinion, making art, where Everybody Loves Raymond was making the classic TV sitcom.
Correct. I go with it. Next up at number 10. This is one, if we did this podcast, let's say 10, 15 years ago, we'd probably say this guy might be number one. He might be, arguably.
I think we both ranked him lower because of the post-show stuff.
Career?
I know I did.
Yeah, so number 10.
He is one of the all-time great TV docs. Yeah, Cliff Huxtable.
Cliff Huxtable from The Cosby Show. He is maybe the best dad on this list.
It's tough to say that with a straight face. Isn't it?
When I was doing this,
it's really
kind
tough.
of like it's like watching a Chris Benoit match now. It's like
it's like talking about Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I don't know. He's even worse. He's
but kind of in that same vein.
Yes, in this, completely agree. Like, I can't go back and look at, like, we did a top 11 boy bands, and the Jackson 5 were number one, and it still made me a little uncomfortable. But at least that was, like, literally when he was a child, which actually was a little effed up. But anyways, Cliff Huxtable was a therapist in-house. He worked inside his own house.
The Jell-O pudding, the sweaters. The episode where they had, what's the oldest kid's name? Theo move out and then buy back into the house to show him what it's like on its own. Yeah. Just so many great life lessons. Our friend Marco, it's one of his all-time favorite shows. It is a great show, without question, one of the greatest TV sitcoms all time. And probably, to your point, if I'm going to say there's somebody else on this list who I would rather have as my dad. Oh, in like the fictional world, probably two.
When this list is done, let's answer that question. So let's go to number 9 here. We jump in with a dad that talk about maybe one of the biggest pains in the asses of a dad. That comes from That 70s Show, Red Foreman. He was a dick.
He was a dick, but everything he did, he had that Frank Barone-esque quality. Mm-hmm. Just so electric. Played a huge part in the show. Again, talk about a guy. He did a lot for the kids at certain points. Like he took in, what's his name? Was it Hyde?
Hyde, yeah, with the curly hair.
And everything, and the mom too. The mom, probably one of my all-time favorite TV moms as well.
I was going to say, the absolute sweetheart. She might be the mom you want.
TV parents. Whew. If you're talking about the total package, that's Lex Luger right there.
Total package. I didn't even mention this. No, honorable mentions for later. A spoiler for it. But I should save it, but I'll just say Boy Meets World parents. Those the Matthews to me. Those like the parents.
Not a fan.
Oh, anyways,
Yeah.
They're not a fan of you either. But yeah, going back to Red Foreman, the one thing that always stood out to me, how awful he treated the sister too, because obviously I don't remember the character's name, but in that 70s show, she always like dressed pretty scantily clad. Always,
the bimbo blonde,
yes, yeah. And he was always crushing her and always saying just so inappropriate things, but like appropriate obviously for being a half-hour sitcom on Fox in the late 90s.
And his hatred to the other parents and all of the other parents, Donna's idiot dad, everything that he did was just it was perfect. It was the Frank Barone role. It was just perfect comedy every time.
And you know what it is? Like, as we get older, you start to relate to these guys, regardless of being a dad or not. It's just like when you get older, you get a little more curmudgeon-y, and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that, or you get a little pissed. And these guys, like Red Foreman was like the perfect example of that, where you had the sweetheart wife who would just do anything for anybody, had two pretty good kids, but one boy who he just treated like crap, and daughter that he never really gave like respect to. It's just great. But there was also heartfelt moments when like sad things would happen on those shows to show like these guys are human beings, which I think that was great as well. So let's jump into number 8 now. And I think this could actually be the dad I want, because talk about someone who brought in somebody who wasn't their own, could not have a kid of his own. I don't know if he was shooting blanks, but Jonathan Kent from Smallville.
Again, don't know who this is. I'm assuming this is Superman's stepdad.
This is Superman's stepdad. Yes. Jor-El did not make the list. Jor-El is a jerk. And so, he did save, entire world because he sent his son to another planet. But nonetheless, in the Smallville adaptation, an excellent character, sweetheart of a guy, just would do anything. And he was the best dad for this reason only. His stepson, his adopted son, was freaking Superman. The man molded Superman. He did. He told him, hey, you can do all this stuff, but right now you just can't.
Okay, sorry.
No, he could run super fast. He told him never do it in front of people. This secret you need to protect.
I choose not to run. Like something.
Yes, exactly. He was protecting. He was protective. He did all the right things. He was running a farm. He was a simple man. Always had all these opportunities to make a bunch of money because of his son. He said, nope, we're going to keep it straight and steady. And he made the ultimate sacrifice. Spoiler alert, Jonathan Kent dies. And it's because he has to make a sacrifice for his son's future.
Clark Kent.
It's amazing stuff.
Just got it. 2 things. Actually, one thing, loaded question here. I, have had the moniker Nestle of the Jobber Knocker. You can get it in on the Pop Culture Pile Driver. Gave me the moniker of TV's own Billy Delaney.
Yes, so, like that.
I have not seen some serious shows here. I've never seen The Sopranos. I've never seen Smallville. I've never seen The OC. I've never seen Buffy. Have you seen
Buffy? I've seen every one of those shows. I'm in the middle of Sopranos.
What should I watch first? Because I'm about to kick New Girl. I'm almost done.
Okay.
As my show that I'm like newly watching. That's old.
It's a great question. And this is my ranking. As someone who the OC is my number 1 of all time when it comes to that teen drama style. Had 2 really good seasons and kind of the Smallville's 10 seasons. It's so good. It's also a teen drama. That's why I like it too. Let's be honest. Just so you know, fun fact, it debuted the same year as Scrubs and 24. And those 3 shows ran from 2001 past 2010, or right about there, which is pretty historic. And I think they'll debut on the same week. But anyways,
shit.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to lean Sopranos only, not just because I'm watching it now. Buffy is, this is tough. Okay. I'll give you the 4, the way I would do it in order. I would do Sopranos. It's shorter, and I think it's the most heavy, and you want to watch the next one really, really bad.
I mean, TV things have ranked it 1 or 2 next to Seinfeld as the greatest TV show of all time. Yeah.
So I would go Sopranos first, and then if I had to go next, I would probably do Buffy, because Buffy is cinematically great, and Josh Whedon, who does all the event, for a while till he went nuts, was doing a lot of the Avengers and Marvel movies. This is the start, and the way those movies are so well written and interweaved with each other, he did that through season after season. So there's a lot of stuff that happens in season 2 that catches up in season 5. So I would go those 2, and then between Smallville and the OC, which are 2 of my favorite shows, 2 shows I fall asleep to, along with Goosebumps. I would say maybe the OC next, just because it's such a lighthearted, fun, easy show. But it definitely goes Sopranos first, Bill. I highly doubt you wouldn't like it.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, when I get into something, I get into it big. I'm avoiding we probably won't touch video games much on this podcast, but I'm avoiding playing God of War 4 because it'll take over my life when I play.
Yeah. If anything with this channel, with video games, maybe like playing video games, if anything. All right. So now let's jump into number 7. This one.
A shock you didn't have this on your list. Did you just miss him?
So there's a lot of dads, and I'll be honest. Here's a little something. I think South Park's a brilliant show. I just don't watch it.
Wow.
When it first came out in 1998, 97, I remember watching all the leaked video of Jesus versus Satan, like that, like you had a Winamp I would watch it on. By the way, RIP Winamp, 3 years ago, they discontinued it. But I just don't watch it consistently enough. The one thing that stands out to me about Randy Marsh coming in at number 7 from South Park is the episode where well, the 2 episodes for me is when he tries to when he's on Jeopardy. I'll just save myself and just say the Jeopardy episode.
Naggers.
And the episode where I think it's the U2 episode when he just keeps crapping. And then he ends up it has something to do with Bono and crap. For some reason, those 2 things stand out to me.
Yeah, the people who annoy you, and it was supposed to be naggers, and he says the actual N-word. My God, Nevin, what? It's genius TV, and I can see you don't watch it, and if somebody else were to look at this list, maybe it's the Peter Griffin syndrome. You don't think of him much as a father, but he's involved. There's so many episodes where he's just yelling, "Stop!" Yeah, and he has. They leaned a little too heavy into some of the Randy characters later on, but the one that I always go back to, the one that sticks out in my mind, is the Little League World Series one where they're trying to lose, but he's playing Rocky in his mind, fighting, being that like sports dad, fighting all the other ones, and they license the best around for you're the best around, and he's gonna beat the Bat Dad in Colorado. Unbelievable!
That's a classic.
For years. Every season, the Randy episode was one of the better episodes. Then they went a little too heavy into him, and they kind of got back to crushing it a little bit lately. But I think he was my number 4 overall, just because there's so many good Randy episodes, and I love me some Randy Marsh.
Yeah, you definitely had him right because he was on my list, and to even crack not just the top 11, but to even pass up all the way up to number 7, you had to have him high. Here's someone we both had on the list, maybe the all-time greatest. A cartoon dad, I guess you could say, coming in number 6 from The Simpsons, Homer J. Simpson, the
greatest cartoon dad of all time. I think I think from here on out, we had every one of these on our lists. Yeah, we were all pretty much in lockstep.
Randy Marsh was the only. Yeah.
So our top, 6? We were in agreement on the top 6, pretty much, maybe a little different in order wise. Homer Simpson. I could quote The Simpsons for the rest of my life. This is the show I watched going to sleep, pretty much season 3 to 9. He's just one of the all-time great television characters. Kind of a dad. They focus a little bit. Yeah, he's an okay dad. There's some good moments. He does some nice stuff for Lisa here and there. The episode where Bart and Lisa play hockey is one of my favorite parenting moments, when they just go back and forth and he's egging them on, and then when he chases Uter, don't make me run, I'm full of chocolate. That's not even a dad moment, but just a phenomenal character in history, and obviously the main thing he is a dad to The Simpsons. Yeah,
I think you said it best. When it comes to the dad side of him with Lisa always had some good tender moments. And you always start off with I'll go in, I'll talk to her.
Saxophone.
Yeah, and he also, I believe, and don't quote me on this, I believe he also is the creator of one of the best scenes in that show for me, is when Bart is walking towards, like they were trying to fight each other. He's like, all right, here. Bart walks towards her just punching, and she walks
up. That's the hockey episode.
Yeah, okay, that's the same one. I thought so. And he's just kicking.
Yeah. And he's doing the pie thing. Pie, I'm going to come at you. And if you get eaten, it's your own fault.
Oh, that's great. That is, okay, I thought that was
I think it's Lisa on Ice, or I forget what the name of it is. But that to me is one of the most underrated episodes because there's so many good things. But even you go back to the early episodes where he has to jump the gorge for Bart and he winds up doing it by accident. Just so many good dad moments when they lose the children to the Flanderses. And he's just, they kind of, like I said, they focused a little bit too heavily on him in the later seasons. And that's kind of where they lost it. And then they lost all the good writers and the show's completely different now. But from season 3 to season 10, he might be the best television dad that ever existed.
Yeah, the thing I agree with you because I had the box set for the first 10, and then I think like I stopped buying the DVDs as much. It wasn't because I wanted to have like I thought in my head, I'm like, oh, I can't wait for people to come over my house to see my DVD collection. Now, guess what? It's in a box in my basement. But it is interesting because Homer Simpson definitely went from being like a great part of like an ensemble cast to kind of the same thing I think would happen with Family Guy a little bit with Brian and Stewie. They just like started to really just make like Homer hijinks. Everybody check out Homer hijinks. Same thing, Brian and Stewie. What are they getting up to now? So I think that, but Homer overall still the product, great. So that's why he comes in at number 6. Number 5 coming out of TGIF. He comes from Family Matters. Your favorite cop in mine, Carl Winslow. What a dad. What honestly.
A great TV dad. A lot of good moments, a lot of good speeches. Just kind. I mean, again, it's tough to say because he's fucking Bill Cosby. But I think I'd rather have Heathcliff Huxtable by a smidge over Carl Winslow. But you got to love Carl Winslow.
Bill, there's one reason why. Carl Winslow lost a child. One of those kids went upstairs, never came back. And
she went up to do porn, right?
She never came back, and then all of a sudden she showed up on your internet. And you could probably Google that right now. But yeah, he's a really, really solid dad. Not only a cop serving, he'd be out there right now in the midst of the quarantine. He's also just like him and Harriet. It was just like fun stuff between the two. She was always making him do stuff he didn't want to do. He was the typical dad because he just didn't want to do half of the stuff. He didn't want to talk to the kids. He didn't want to go to Eddie's games. He didn't want to like take in Urkel. We never met Urkel's parents, I don't think, or at least if they did, it was like a split second, a blip.
I mean, that might have been the point where the show jumped the shark and he became Bruce Lee Urkel for the 3rd or 4th time. But Carl Winslow, I mean, there's a lot of good moments. He just has a fond place in my memory. And the most fatherly moments I think he has is with Urkel. Like him teaching him how to drive in that car where like they don't have a speedometer. You just got to write down how fast you think you're going on the little chalkboard. Are some of the greatest like childhood. That was my show. That was one of the first shows where I said I'm watching like TGIF. I think you recently did the podcast with Mac and Goob where you drafted the shows. That was my first show where I'm like, I need to watch this every single week.
This show not only was my first pick in that podcast, but also is just such a classic. Exactly. Like Cosby's was started in the 80s. This show started in the early 90s, right when we were kids, right when we were, Friday nights, you could stay up a little bit later when your bedtime probably started to slip away. So I think, he was, and he was like, think about, you're young like that. You're looking and like, that's a good father figure.
Like the first episodic, like cartoon besides Saved by the Bell that I like religiously watched would probably be this show. And that's why I think he stands out so highly for me.
So then we jump in, coming in at number 4, probably the dad that everybody related to for the fact that like you knew him. You like talk about a character that stood out as a dad from Full House, Danny Tanner.
I mean, the cleaning, the compulsive cleaning, even in Fuller House, which people give a bad rap to. I love Fuller House. I love Full House. I love Danny Tanner. Yeah. Uncle Jesse and Joey can also be surrogate fathers to these children.
Well, Jesse was a dad.
Yeah. Later on, again, those kids suck. It's very hard thinking about this now. Like, if you were to rank TV children, I think the Tanner's going to come in like top 3, like top 5 of like a top 20 list. Because so many TV children, like especially young ages, fucking suck.
Yeah,
he had some good kids. They were all pretty good. He gave the good speeches. Just a down to earth dad. I think I'd still pick Heathcliff Huxtable over this guy.
I might as well, but I think the thing about Danny Tanner that sets him apart, he always had a lesson for the girls. He always had their back. He never was against them. Always made sure that they were taken care of. We're talking, they hit some heavy subjects in that show. From not having a mom, by the way, mom dead. Not having female. He was the mom and the dad, so he could technically, since we are celebrating Mother's Day by counting down the top
first single dad. I mean, I know he had not quite a what is it? My Two Dads, Craig Effigan and what's his name? But he had the help. Is that the first single? That's got to be the first single dad on the list.
Oh, on this list, yes. Pretty.
Yeah, not even close. Right?
Yeah, no. Everybody else was married, and he's gonna be the only single. Well, there's Well, no, yeah, but technically, yes, he's the only single dad on the top 11. We have some honorable mentions, but yeah, he's probably the best dad for that reason alone. Doing two people's jobs, never.
And it had a cool ass fucking job.
I was gonna say mornings. He had a great job. You think about that. Think about this man's hours. We both work in media or worked in media. Like this guy had to get up at like 3:30 in the morning.
He had to go to bed at like 6.
Yeah, honestly, or he was just not sleeping a lot. He was incredible.
And
like
raising 3 girls. I mean, I don't want 3 girls. I'll take 2. I only want girls. But that's
Gotcha.
that's my dream. He's living my dream a little bit.
There you go, Bill. There you go. Single dad with multiple children.
Honestly, it would be the best shot of women liking me in my house if they were like my children.
No argument from me there. All right, so coming in now at number 3. This is where things get tough because this is one I thought in the beginning when just the conversation came up, like, oh, this guy's gonna be number 1 from Modern Family. Phil Dunphy.
Over my shoulder.
Yeah, I see him.
Other face. Why all the dances from High School Musical? There's so many and he's a doofus. He's a good guy, a good dad, a little bit selfish from time to time, but so many great lines. Look out, Titans of Real Estate. Luke Dunphy's coming to drink your milkshake. Everything about this guy, the fact that he has that at odds thing with his father-in-law, which is something I'm sure that's relatable to most people. Mm-hmm. He is he's hilarious, and he's not even one note. I think Frank Barone is a little one note. Red Foreman's a little one note. He hits all the notes all the time. Just a great TV dad. And this is the first one I would rank as a guy that he's my number 2 or 3 guy I'd want to be my dad.
Yeah, see, the only reason I wouldn't want him to be my dad, he was so ridiculous in some moments, but he keeps it fresh. He's a good dad. And here's another reason why.
It's all about keeping it fresh, because if you keep it fresh, you can take it to the next level. And he's all about taking it to the next level.
That's the point. He's always, not as just a dad. Like when you embody a dad, you're not just a father. You have to be part of it's kind of being a husband too. Great husband. Him and his wife, great characters in that show. Also, you know what? You're right. Because this episode, if we were talking about kids,
Bixby,
the alias.
Oh my God.
It's great. It really is. And the thing, just the why the face, I'll never forget that. That was the moment. I think it was just in the first season. That'd be one of the first episodes. He's like, and they just said WTF. Why the face?
I think that is. Yeah. I'm a cool dad. I text and all the dances from High School Musical.
Yeah. I nearly spit the drink out I was drinking. I was like, this guy, he's got it. He just has it.
And he has to shoot Luke with the BB gun, and he winds up shooting Luke. He shoots Dylan. It's unbelievable. Just a great. This is the dad that I would strive to be if I'm lucky enough one day to have a child. I would love to be somewhere in the area of a Phil Dunphy.
Well, that's the and he also had those tender moments.
It's attainable too. I think
he is because he's not an incredible person. He's a real estate agent who struggles at times. Also has a boatload of money. I don't know how all these people have so much money, but he also
real estate wherever they live. What is it? Southern California?
I don't know. That's a part of that show. I don't know where they live. I think it is because the daughter went to college in California and she would travel home quite often. But yeah, and he also
his favorite musical is Pippin. If you ain't white, you ain't right at the summer camp. Everything about this guy's personality is just what I aim to be. When he puts on the fake mustache and he gets the nod from the guy at the door, you too, brother. He just sits back. He's just one of the most charismatic TV characters I think I've ever seen. Everything about him it's what I want to be.
I agree. And then the other thing you mentioned, Dylan, talk about a dad, he just was so turned off by this dude in the beginning, and then all of a sudden
they become best friends.
That's the best part. And then they're not dating anymore too.
And he's texting him.
Yes. See, that's the stuff that I love, and that's classic dad. He was almost as if he was a dad in the 80s more than he was a dad in the 2010s, which is
I think it's one of the most unique characters that was created in one of those I'm going to quote it now, a popcorn TV show. That it's I think at the beginning it was a little bit more. They were trying to do something different, and then they kind of saw how successful the mushy episodes were, and that's where I lost them. But Phil Dunphy, my guy.
I love it. So now coming in, we're down to the top 2 here. We'll throw some honorable mentions, but at number 2.
Should we do the honorable mentions now?
Yeah, let's do them now.
Might be the time.
All right, so you can try to guess in the meantime of what our top 2 will be. Honorable mentions from Boy Meets World, Alan Matthews. To me, this guy was another total package. Owned his own company, was a great dad to those kids, taught them right from wrong, taught them the birds and the bees, by the way. Also, on top of all that, always looking out for his kids. And by always looking out for his kids, sometimes didn't want to deal with them. I'm sorry, that's part of being a dad. Sometimes he'd be like, he just wanted to go out on a date with his wife, and Corey would have some sort of hang up or some issue. He'd be like, oh, and she'd be like, hold on, Alan. It's like, no, we're not holding on. We have a reservation. He's trying to get her out of the house because he's trying to get a little nookie. And this freaking kids with their whiny little attitudes, always holding it back. But I just thought he was such a great dad.
Frank Lambert Light. Same.
Frank Lambert Light.
Yeah.
Frank Lambert. No standout moments. Zero standout moments.
I like. He to me is just another guy in the '90s who didn't wear flannel as often. Probably rocked the Canadian tuxedo a little bit more. Still the same look. He probably wore more of like the '90s like color patterns tucked in. But Boy Meets World season 1, 2, and 3. All right, sign me up. After that, actually seasons 2 and 3, probably some of my favorite TV ever. After that,
No, they were too young. The kids were too young. It got really more interesting when they were like high school. And to me, please, Minkus, when he got a little bit older, nothing better. But Alan was always there, always good. And also, you're really discrediting those later seasons. Eric just being an absolute maniac.
Eric Matthews, season 2 and 3. Chester, I lied about my name. It's a magazine for a guy named Chester. The skating episode. Eric Matthews is the standout character of that show. He brings that show down because he wasn't like even close to the main character until the end because they know they needed him.
Yeah. Okay. So other honorable mentions coming up. George Bluth. That's another good one.
George Senior. I fucking love George Senior. He is so, again, a one-note guy. Kind of the modern day Frank Barone, that same kind of ball punched over. Just great TV dad. Great pairing. That might be one of the top things of all time. Lucille and George. Oh, yeah.
Well, pairing-wise, I think parents.
They're horrible parents. George Sr. is one of the worst people who's ever lived.
In jail the first time we see him.
Daddy horny, Michael. I mean, the ice cream sandwich, the no touching. He is just this always money in the banana. I could go on for, again, another show I leave after season 3. Same thing with Modern Family. Yeah. But he has so many standout moments. And he has an episode that's quotable and fantastic. He's just such a great television dad, and he's such a dick.
Definitely can't disagree with the dick part. And I just think it's so funny how that whole show, and he breaks out of jail. There's so much to him. Complex guy there. Coming in, another honorable mention, Jack Bauer from the show 24. Now here's a guy.
I've never seen this show. Is this higher than Sopranos?
No, Sopranos is higher. No, well, it's hard, Bill. These are hard ways for me to put it together. 24 is an excellent show because it is one of the more creative shows of all time. Based on the show takes place in a 24-hour period. Each hour is an hour of a day. Very cool. But Jack Bauer, the reason I put him on this list is purely because being part of the story was he was a dad, and there's a classic dad scene where his daughter, who is I can't think of her name all of a sudden, very famous. No, what is her actress's name? Kim something. Anyways, doesn't matter. Her name's Kim in the show. She married a hockey player, Elisha Cuthbert. Thank you, Bill. Elisha Cuthbert. So she has a guy break into the house, and he on the phone, almost like a Taken scene. He's like, grab a gun. She's like, oh, okay, I got a gun. She goes, shoot him. And he's like, what? She's like, he goes like, shoot him. And she's like, he's like, Kim, you have to shoot him. Shoots the guy. Guy's toast. So then she goes, oh my God, I shot him. He goes, shoot him again. One of the best lines. It's like a wow moment. It's unbelievable. He goes, shoot him again. Yes. I die. It is classic. That is a father. That is great advice because every horror movie, every time you watch any drama, you shoot the guy, you think he's dead, you're walking out, boom, he's back. And so
I love that.
He goes, shoot him again. Classic stuff. Jack Bauer.
I knew it was a good show. I never knew he was even remotely a father. I thought, I was always wondering, when does this guy pee? Which I have to do, but I'm good for now.
Good. Well, we'll hang in there for a little bit longer. The next honorable mention, this is a tough one because could have made the list, probably should have made the list, Frank Costanza of Seinfeld.
I cannot, and this probably is the biggest spoiler, but again, not in enough. Like Frank Barone was in every episode, and I think he was the guy that I would probably flip if we had to. But looking at this now, I don't think he deserves top 11. He is the ultimate alternate, the ultimate backup, the ultimate honorable mention. He is fucking amazing. He's one of my favorite. If we were to do a Seinfeld character draft, he'd consider like high consideration as the fifth pick overall.
I was going to say he'd be right after the top 4.
Oh my God. He has so many Serenity Now, Hoochie Mama.
The man bra. I don't know what it is about.
Bro, man's there.
Oh the man's there. That's it.
Every moment, every scene he steals. You saying you want a piece of me? What the hell is that supposed to mean? He is phenomenal.
Great dad. Always another one who just agitated his son.
Terrible dad.
Wanted no part with his son. Wanted no part of his life. Was so happy when they could get away from him. It's great stuff. Frank Costanza is classic. Last honorable mention.
Power couple as parents.
Yes.
Most similar, like Morty and Estelle Seinfeld. Not Estelle. Morty and I forget her name. It's escaping me at the moment. It's sad as I'm wearing the shirt. But those two parents, if you combine them, George's and Jerry's would make my parents.
Ooh.
Like that's a perfect like
okay. Like the $1 million
my mom
man.
has had moments like both. My dad has had moments like both. Like they're like the perfect melding of my parents.
Well, I'm sorry, Bill. We'll save it for therapy. And last honorable mention: Eric Taylor, Friday Night Lights, Coach Taylor. It's a great show. This is one you should definitely.
This is one that I will watch. Yeah, at some point because everyone fucking loves the show. Yeah,
it could be fun to do even like shorts, like recap of like seasons of stuff because that show is that damn good. But Eric Taylor is just one of the great fathers. Has a single, just one daughter. For a while, and he is so enamored. He's a football coach. He's all about football. Next thing you know, his daughter's getting into high school, so she's starting to get interested in boys. Boys are getting interested in her. A lot of the players on the football team, great stuff there. Quarterback starts dating her. He has some incredible scenes. He is just one of those dads that obviously, he's the quote unquote breadwinner, we'll say, and being a football coach and the aspirations is going to kind of put your family in some tough places. He does a lot of sacrificing.
Does a lot of from what I can gather, right?
Yeah. Kyle Chandler is a top 10 sex dad. I'd say he's a sexy dad.
All right. Is he the hottest dad on our list? Kyle Chandler?
Let's see. On this list, who would be hotter than Kyle Chandler?
Oh, yeah, he's the guy I'm thinking of.
Yeah, you're right. I would say the only person that can fight him for that total.
Frank Lambert.
Not Frank Lambert. I would say potentially Tony Danza in his prime.
Ooh, yes.
I'm getting my wife in the background saying no. Tony Danza in his prime, though, not now.
No, I'd still give it to the other.
We're getting Coach Taylor.
Yeah.
Coach Taylor. And you know what else? He could wear a mean pair of slacks. He fit those slacks well.
Fair enough.
Coach slacks.
Looks good. I will say that show, even though I've never seen it, his face stands out as the character from that show, and I have no idea about anything on that show.
You don't need to, but that's a show. Talk about character draft, stuff like that. There's so much going on with that show. You can just do a draft based on the players on that show, which a lot of people I've seen have done. But all right, so now let's get back into our top 11. Those are honorable mentions. Just to quickly recap: 11, Frank Barone; 10, Cliff Huxtable; 9, Red Foreman; 8, Jonathan Kent; 7, Randy Marsh; 6, Homer Simpson; 5, Carl Winslow; 4, Danny Tanner; 3, Phil WTF Dunphy; number 2 now, Bill, coming from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. No, it's not Will's deadbeat dad. It is Uncle Phil, or better known as Philip Banks.
We rank this 1 and 2 the exact same, and I'd say I'd want to be Phil Banks. I couldn't. I don't think I could be that good of a father. He is absolutely amazing. He is the guy that I would want as my dad. Tough but fair.
I was going to say very tough on the girls,
as a judge should be.
Yes,
extremely tough on Will. One of the great sitcom TV moments. This I'd say would be.
Oh, I
didn't watch this as much live. This was mostly
Monday nights.
This was
Monday night show.
This was a show I didn't watch live. This was a show I watched probably 2 at a time, Monday through Friday, for most of my childhood. Sure. But I loved it, and he had this profound impacts from start to finish on this show. I mean, I can just picture him, either dancing or like reaming out Will in my head. Was even a good father. I mean, he was a good father to all his children.
Well, the issue though, him and Lisa had some problems there, and she had to give him a little sing respect in one episode. One of my favorite episodes, actually, because he's not giving her any, because he looks at her as such a little girl as she's growing up. But that is the father role, right? You're going to see your kids a certain way, especially your youngest. He always treated her that way. Always. I just draw a blank on the old Hillary. She would always come in, and what did he do? He would just give her money, give her a credit card. It was such a fun, like, she was just like snotty. He would just be like, hey, daddy, boom, money. It was almost like the Jetsons opening.
But I think the best, and he had a lot of good moments with Carlton too, a lot of hard cards. Mm-hmm. But the best father-son relationship, I think, in TV was him and Will. And they weren't, it was his
It wasn't
nephew.
Biological, yeah.
And it wasn't biological, but he raised him, I think, probably how I would want to be raised if I could do it all over again. My parents did. Good job.
They did excellent, Bill. They did excellent. Yeah, we're all here. Happy Mother's Day.
I know, right? The best episode, the thing I remember the most fondly, is the Breakout Lucille episode when he goes to the pool hall and saves Will's ass by hustling the guy. Just fucking that is one of the coolest dad moments in the history of television. Just the shitty pool trick shots that he's doing.
Oh my God. And I just love the editing on that too. Nobody's near the pool table. Like they're all huddled around when they're shooting. As soon as there's going to be he hits 5 balls in, it's like a shot so far distant. It's great. Jeffrey, give me Lucille. And he just,
Jeffrey, break out Lucille. He takes out of his pants. And just, as a former
pool shark,
kind of.
Swimming in the sea.
It was just it warms my heart.
He is a great dad for so many reasons, not just the ones we mentioned. Also, the most heartwarming scene potentially in television history. Yes. Him and Will after Will's dad comes to the house, gets thrown out of the house. That's nothing. Phil, if you didn't like it, Jazzy Jeffy, toss him out of the house. Will's dad, I always forget whose brother. No, it's not. It's his wife's, I think, right? That's where Will comes in, I think. I don't think it's Phil's brother, sister, right?
No. It
is Phil's sister.
Aunt Viv is his biological aunt.
So it's sisters, right? They were sisters. Like Will's mom. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Anyways, he was born in West Philadelphia, if you didn't know. But crazy. So Will's dad comes, ends up, Uncle Phil reams him, finds out that he wasn't, really being good to him. And that's when he didn't want me, man. And that scene, even me saying it gave me a little bit of chills. It is such a powerful, powerful scene. And it's not made by Will Smith. Will Smith did excellent. Will Smith, excellent actor. Just don't watch any of his new movies. But excellent actor. Uncle Phil, the character he played, was so good in that because he basically told him, I got you. Basically, that's what he did. He engulfed him and said, I got you. I want you.
And it's a little choked up right now, but Onward kind of plays that same note. Like if you haven't seen the Disney movie Onward, if you have Disney Plus,
seen it. No spoilers. No.
But it hits that same note of the you don't have a father figure, but maybe you did all along kind of thing. So if you haven't seen Disney's Onward, it is about as it'll get you as emotional as that moment in Fresh Prince. Probably it's the most hysterical crying I've done in a long time. I'll say that.
I'm gonna say if it's that emotional, they've done something 100% right. But we'll get to that another time because now it's time, Bill, for the number one TV dad of all time. Both of us ranked at number 1. We're both experts. Nobody beats what we do. And that comes in number 1, married, ... with children's Al Bundy.
And it's number 1 with a bullet because when we sat down to make this, I was like, all right, Al Bundy's 1. All right, where's everybody else? It's like Larry Bird in the 3-point contest, right? Yep. He is just, and he's a bad dad. He's a dick. He's not nice to his wife. He's really not that good to his kids. He's pretty much all about him and boobs, and he's a terrible fucking worker. He's just the no man, but he is the most iconic television dad of all time. I don't even think it's close.
I'm with you. He embodied. So just, originally on this list, he was in my bottom 5. Now, don't get me wrong. It's because I was first just nibbling the list. I was putting things, and I said, I just took a step back. I didn't read anything. I just took a step back. I said, who are these guys do I think of when I think of TV and I think of iconic characters and dads? And he was shot right to the top of my list. I was like, Al Bundy, because he did the whole hand in the pants, drinking a beer, get me a beer. He was just such the dad because he worked at a shoe department store all damn day.
It wasn't the clean, Phil Dunphy, if you will, Uncle Phil. It was like
go through all of them.
It was a real dad. It was a dad that you would see at my house. Maybe if you went to your friend's house, it was the most relatable dad, like him lying in the little baby pool. I wonder what the poor people are doing today. Going on like family vacations that I would go on to like fucking Drinkwater, Florida. It was the most relatable TV dad, and he acted in the most relatable way. Like, get out of here. I don't want to deal with you. I've had a long day at work.
Every time Kelly would come down, he did the same thing. It was another one of those open the wallet, just get away from me. He didn't want to be bothered. He wanted to drink a beer, watch television, watch the game, put his hand directly in his pants. Iconic stuff. Anytime you've ever done... Anytime you put the hand in the pants, people don't do that anymore. And the one thing I would say, for his era, it was late 80s more than it was 90s, but he never wore the flannel. He was always like a solid colored guy.
That's the thing.
He broke the mold.
The flannel like look was the preppy, clean, this is America's version of what we wanted dad to be. Yep. Whereas Al Bundy was probably your prototypical what most dads are.
Yes.
You know, shitty, like
schmucks.
Yeah, shoe salesman job, kind of a jerk, hated his fucking neighbor.
Oh my God.
If you go and watch, I think it's an 8-minute cut of the best Al Bundy insults. It is some of the greatest YouTube watching that it's right behind me right now.
I would tell you
some of the greatest YouTube watching you'll ever do.
Without knowing, it's probably right up there with what I think is Niles from The Nanny. Also, just straight fire. That guy just burned. Oh my God. You just type that in later when you're taking a dump. Like he just burns.
Mr. Sheffield.
No, bad dad. Didn't like him.
Yeah. He was okay. That was another one of my mom's show that I kind of liked.
Love The Nanny. Think it's an incredible show, but he is so a background character to that show. It's not even funny. Like barely even think of him as a dad. He's always just
it's Niles, her, and the big hulking blonde girl that also wants.
You think she's big and hulking? It's so funny if you watch that now though, because that's the way like they try to make it. She's like a top 10, like she's just beautiful. I can't remember what's the blonde from The Nanny. Cece.
Cece.
She's beautiful.
Well, wouldn't you say she's like? Because back in the 90s, they were trying to portray her as like this big, like lanky thing. She's pretty. Anyways, but back to the point to this. Al Bundy was just that guy, was that dad, was the dad that you, like your dad was that him at some point when it's just like, I'm at my wit's end. I don't want to deal with
the most relatable dad. Unfortunately, hopefully my parents never watched this, but he was the most like, all right, you're going to come home, crack up a ear, sit down, chill in front of the TV. Like, I get it. That's fucking as relatable as shit. Yeah. Like, I couldn't be Philip Banks. I couldn't be half of these dads. I could definitely be Al Bundy, and I hope to be somewhere in between, like Phil Dunphy and Frank Lambert.
Well, you can build. You got to have goals, right? But yeah, so that is our top 11 list. If you disagree with them, make comments below. Subscribe to the channel. If you're just joining us over here, we appreciate it. Subscribe to the podcast.
Hands down, our best list. Hands down. I think we crushed this list.
Oh, well, of course we crushed the list, but I'm trying to think if it's our best. Yeah, I think so far to date, it is our best list. I strive for better in the future, but I think this is right up there because also we were both in sync in a lot of ways, and I just think the topic material is gold. Again, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Anybody that's tuned in or have a mom in their life, happy Mother's Day. We celebrate.
Have a mom.
Well, maybe not in their lives anymore, Bill. All right, I don't judge. People could be estranged. People could be up in the chilling and cloud nine, but I would say that Mother's Day is a very special day. Make sure you do something nice for your mom, even if that is just a phone call during these trying times.
Even if it's to remind your dad to do something for your mom, because let's face it, some dads.
Look at this list.
Always bad at getting my mom gifts. It was kind of sad. I'd always have to kind of dial back my gift because I knew my dad wouldn't be as good at getting a gift as I was.
I wish your dad would switch the gifts. I wish that was the story. Like my dad would see what I got and be like, "Yeah, that's what I got." here's a toothpaste from Billy. But yeah, make sure you do something nice for mom. Give her a call. Share a smile. Post something on Facebook. I don't really care. But no, this has been a lot of fun. This is our top 11 for TV dads. Plenty more stuff coming. Some stuff will be podcast only. Some stuff will be here on YouTube in this form. Some stuff will be maybe a little more created in a YouTube form. So definitely subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss out on it. Billy, any parting words?
I really have to pee.
All right, we're going to let Billy pee. You have yourself a great Mother's Day. Frank says hi.